It is July the 14th, 2023. Okay, it's not Sheet the Wayne by Alphabet, my moisture making nation and family. And let me just say this. This is the first video for today. I just got off work. It's holy day. I got off about 3:05, clocked out, and this is my first time changing into my workout suit. I used to do this quite a bit. Through the years after I got off work, I would change it into my workout suit and walk back. But I experienced the thought to do this again, and 9 times out of 10, when in reference to thoughts as a spiritual practitioner, I'm pretty sure, because when I shine my light, it's usually a black Negro or some form of a Mongoloid, look to be from Mexico, South Central America, for us engaging. Not all the time, but predominantly most of the time. Or some type of Mongoloid, that brown skin, or African American black Negro, or they could be from different parts, dark enough, different parts of the country of Africa. I have experienced pale skins engaging, but not as much as I have with the melanated. So, so anyway, getting to the point, I haven't did this in a while, so I just decided to do it because I'm using a thought. Because I use thoughts. I used to do this quite a bit, but it's about 85 degrees, 86, 88 degrees today, so I just chose to do it today. This is the workout suit I use when I exercise on a treadmill. So thank you. You know what? I think I am still recording. Let me stop the recorder. It's so odd today. After I got through tweeting, someone tweeted about the recorder. Someone tweeted about I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there it is. Someone tweeted about about scientists being able to make animals in a lab from scratch, which I've heard this years ago, but usually if they're talking about something like that in the open now, they've been doing it for a long, long time. And I find this interesting, Sheet the Wayne by Alphabet, because so when people around the earth start to speak about such things in the open, where it wasn't spoken about before, usually it's because it's been happening for a very, very long time. So, and then whoever tweeted said they're gonna be making humans as well. That wouldn't be human, but that is exactly what I heard about that maybe 15, 16 years ago, cloning. So once again, when someone's tweeting stuff about that in the open, they're trying to show proof that it's happening. It's probably because it's happening. It has happened for a very, very long time. And this correlates to hearing odd noises at the room at Extended Stay America, formerly now Admiral Suites, room 116. Hearing predominantly sound like Spanish male and black Negroes, predominantly African American male and female, and then a Spanish-speaking accent. And when I say Spanish male, they're not Spanish. I'm saying accent, predominantly. So I'm not saying. And then lately, more so than ever, pale-skinned males and some females have been outside the window. As these accents, African American, black, male, and female, and those that in the accent definitely sound Spanish male, sound like a feedback or definitely a feedback or frequency or very close to the room, is definitely, I want to say, making noise. So one of the thoughts as I was tweeting this, and what's odd is after I tweeted, because the person, I went ahead and tweeted it today, but that person tweeted this a while back. When I came back from break for tweeting it, it's so odd. Hamima, the co-worker, she was like asking me about food. And and sometimes when she speaks, it's sort of straightforward, and I'm like, okay. But then sometimes when she's speaking to me, and she's walking close towards me, and she's like, they're laughing. It seemed to be to get a reaction. And I was like, I know, and I can tell with her accent how she's carrying herself. That it seemed like she's trying to get a reaction, or I'm not sure, but it didn't seem like, hi. We brought some fruit. Would you like some fruit? So I was like, Hamima, I'm trying to mop, do the duties that I usually do in the dining room, sweep everything, trying to stay, clean the bathrooms and so forth. So, and I'm like, I'm trying to stay busy, and she's coming to me asking about food or talking to me about food. It was so odd because I just tweeted that today. I mean, right after I tweeted it, I clocked in, and then Hamima started approaching me about food. And I was like, Hamima, why are you still talking to me after I said don't talk to me? I'm working. I could tell because I've gone through this before with her when she started asking me if I'm married. Asking me if I'm married, and I've said yes, or I say don't talk to me about that. Telling me one time it was this looked to be this male who speaks Spanish at the drive-through, dark complective, like Hamima would be considered dark complective. So nonetheless, she started. She asking me about if I'm married and boyfriend and so forth. And I told her I don't want to speak to her on that level. And I told her yes, I was. It's just like about a week ago or a week and a half ago, Abel asked me if I was married and so forth. Abel is another co-worker who I think is from Mexico. Hamima's from Mexico, according to what they say. I communicate. And I was like, Abel, I really don't like to talk about things like that anymore because I've heard people start saying the word loco, she crazy, and they have a letter. They got a letter of some sort. And it's odd because he was in the kitchen, I was at the fry station. I was at the fry station making fries, and he was in the kitchen. I think the question came out of nowhere. But when I turned around, this black male who wears Vietnam or military emblems, that's a regular customer. I saw him at the bank the bank, not too far from Whole Foods. One day after I got paid, I thought it was odd because first I saw him at Burger King that same day. And so it was on a Wednesday because we get paid on Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. And I went through my routine, and I saw him at the front counter. I went through my routine of depositing my check in Bank of America. Then I walked up the hill to Whole Foods, and I saw him at the teller. So this particular day, about a week and a half, my back was turned towards the front counter. So I didn't know if there was a customer behind me or not. But Abel asked me if I was married. I told him, I said, I really don't like talking about things like that. I just want to pretty much imply keep it business or non-personal. I said, people start saying I heard too many people saying the words like loco, she crazy. We got a letter. So I might have said, because people have been saying we're gonna sue. Like so when I turned around that day, at that moment, after I said that, he stopped. He didn't say anything else. He looked down. And then when I turned around from talking to Abel about a week and a half ago, the black male that implied to be connected to the military that I saw that day, and that was speaking military terms. Hold on, I'm crossing with James, and one day that prompted me to ask James, was he ever in the Army or the Navy or whatever? And either he still is or used to be. And of course, I can't remember now. I always say this because I don't remember. He said he was still is or used to be. Was there. So, you know, what's odd is, I don't know, I might not have said the word sue as well, because many times it's like it's an implication that there's either maybe someone, like for example, about 2.5 weeks ago, and it sounded like one of the black males, after I took his orders, he walked by, if I remember correctly, I did take his order. SGT Army is his license plate. It sounded like he said, "I'm going to sue you," but I could be wrong. But definitely that's what it sounded like he said. Because that particular day, he was staring at me. So that particular morning or day, he was behind the silver poles. There's 2 silver poles. And he was just looking at me, staring, and he was bent over. And it's like he was trying, it's like, I don't know, like when you're trying to get a reaction from someone, here you are, this guy is, he's pretty built, as in, I would say, muscles. And he's like approximately 6'2". And he's staring at you, and you already have documented this black male behaving odd before. So it's like he was trying to get a reaction, but I stayed calm. That's what I felt like. Then after he walked up, so I think I did take his order, if I remember correctly. And once again, he wear emblems representing the United States Army, many of them, or Navy, or some type of military branch. Then he walked up. I remember, I think I took his order. He said, again, I say this, I'm walking, I'm looking around, multitasking. It's like he said, as he walked by, "I'm going to sue you." And then, so I started hearing the word sue or lawyer years ago when I would start document. This was years ago when I came here. So I came here in May, the last week of May of 2016. I was hired in June of 2016. And then as time went on, when I was having, I don't know, I couldn't understand why there was an issue all of a sudden, like the managers behave odd, the co-workers behave odd. And usually it was predominantly black male customers. And then more recently, sometimes those that speak Spanish as well. But predominantly still, it'll be black male customers after I take their order and whatever. And it's like, I don't know, they behave odd. It's like, so some would say, some might, I'm not saying this, but some would say there might be a collaboration of people getting together to create a lawsuit because of the documentation of me defending myself, or what for the reasons why I did. Because if you feel like documentation is what's helped protecting you, because you're in an area where you're not sure what you are among, then and then as time go on, or let me say this, the thoughts you are among, the behavior, you don't know. But then as time go on, you start hearing people say Birdman, blacks being more aggressive, black males being more aggressive, saying brother. Not all that say brother, just like I would say possibly something else. Black females walking by saying he F-U-C-K-U. You hearing taps in your room, you hearing feedback in your room. Then you start to think, you hearing those that speak Spanish say werewolf. You start to ask yourself, what kind of lab freak or lab experiment am I among? And if they're bold to behave in a manner that is so abusive, acts of terrorism, and then also the tablet. I remember the robots, which is probably all connected, mixed up. Your tablet is acting up. You get money stolen. We had money stolen out of our account while we were here in Annapolis. It was like maybe, I caught it maybe like 30, 40 minutes after that which was stealing it was taking money out of their account. And then someone at Arrington-Bey, it was called Arrington-Bey at the time. Now that was the formal name. Now it's Admiral Suites. Someone, as I called Bank of America and they said they're going to refund me, was walking past saying they did it or they allowed us to do it. They kept saying they allow us to do it. That's the word. They allowed us to do it. So you have to ask yourself, how long has this behavior that people might say is uncivilized been going on? Now, if you are an experiment and you are able to take money out of someone's account, just like I gave testimony about the cryptocurrency, I was watching Dogecoin and my tablet freezed. With Dogecoin, this was a few years back, and Dogecoin went down to 24 cents. At this time, Dogecoin was going up. 24 cents was a good price at this time. So I think it was 24 or 25 cents. I'm pretty sure it was 24 cents and went down. And all of a sudden the tablet froze, and someone said, the feet like really close or in the room, said, "Can we help you? Let us help you." So it makes me wonder, because if I thought that I would be persecuted for theft, and I would not, no ways, and I'm a lab freak. I'm some type of lab freak, lab experiment, AI, whatever you want, whatever, you could give them a fancy name, okay? But when it comes down to it, they're lab freaks. Because if they created to be a threat to humans and humankind that are in natural law, that's a freak, because they're outside of natural law. And if they're saying werewolf, and the accent, African American female saying she love your son, I love your son, they're protecting Imani, like they can't wait to sleep with Imani. That's some type of lab freak, something we don't know. I never knew that exists. And so not only that, then you have diseases. You have sexual transmitted diseases, because someone has a sexual transmitted disease does not make them unclean. But when you are in a cycle and you are deliberately spreading diseases, viruses, because you are being used for corrupt hospitals and pharmaceutical companies and other companies to make money off of sickness, then to have to be sick or make masses of people sick, you got to figure out a way to change the reality. You got to figure out a way so it doesn't seem like that was the goal and the agenda in the first place. So, can I cross? Okay, thank you. So you don't want the population to think that this was deliberately done. So getting back to that this laboratory experiment, AI, robots, or whatever else have been deliberately created for years to keep masses of people through thoughts sick. Because if your thoughts are unhealthy and you have an unprotected sex, okay, and you are doing things that can cause you to be vulnerable to illnesses and so forth, or they are able to engage by using different sciences upon masses of people, these laboratory experiments, to make them cough, make them become sick, break bones, get inflammation of the brain, tumors, cancer. Now, how you don't want masses of people to think that something was created just for that, and that hospitals with nurses and doctors that are corrupt have been knowing about it for a long time. So nonetheless, I was telling Hamima today, I just kept telling her, I said, why are you asking me about food now? I was like, okay, I started thinking, because she kept coming at me asking about food. I mean, they eat all the time, not all the time, but many times. Now, sometimes they have fruit, sometimes they don't. When I say fruit, they have fruit with beef and other things. But I already told her not to talk to me, but she kept coming to speak to me. Like she was trying to get a reaction.
Doesn't matter.
So I'm going to finish this thought. In Maryland, and I probably did. In Maryland, I'm going to finish a thought. Maryland was known, according to some that did a research on slavery, to have bred women, men and women with their children. And then, so that's just one. This is one state, but there were other states that did it, many states. And so what they would do, because they were trying to make a powerful gene, and then a better slave, and then they would send these people or these experiments, because that's what it was, to different parts to work or to breed. So, and just to remind you, Sheikh Dwayne Baffa-Bey, through history, when those that know history already know that this is very possible, to deliberately try to breed a line out. Many, so the word Native Americans speak about being whitewashed. How when they were conquered, the first thing that which was pale skin wanted to do is breed their line out. So you had the word Native Americans that had kinky hair, brown skin, all of a sudden to look more like a light-skinned Mexican, a light-skinned South and Central American, or a light-skinned person from Puerto Rico or whatever. And their hair became straight. Or even some would look so pale, they would have to say that I am Native American before you even think they were Native American. In Alabama, they were speaking about, they did documentations of how syphilis was spread. How syphilis was spread. And they said that in a community of blacks, they were given sugar pills to cure syphilis instead of a true antidote. Now, what I'm trying to bring forth is, imagine a group of blacks deliberately and knowing that they're sick and deliberately spreading diseases, deliberately breeding, deliberately doing things in reference to a form of deceit in reference to sex and spreading diseases and viruses. And then later is flipped or changed or erased from history. So if you are not a threat to humanity, there would be no reason for someone to have to call the cops on you for documentation. There would be no reason for someone that's new to a city to have to call the police, because if they don't call the police and document, it could be as though you might like to be with one of them, or you might have enjoyed being with one of them, or you might have known some of them all this time. Because to lie is nothing new in reference to those who are unnaturalized, who are outside of natural law, and who are literally criminals. Literally criminals. So what I'm getting at is, Sheik Dwayne Bethel Bey, is when I came here, yes, I thought of different beings existing, but I never expect to be engaged in a manner where I would have to, because I grew up around African Americans. I was under the status of African American all my life. So I would never think the last people I would think that I would have to call the police on more than once, especially when I found out the Navy, the Army, and the police was so prevalent here in Annapolis, was African Americans. Then when I started to hear them start using the word brother, not all, saying brother in a beast, animal manner, then I really started to question. Now I'm hearing noises in the room and frequency in the room. Then I'm hearing those that speak Spanish saying amigo, hola, and just speaking words, and then that I've heard out in the open. And then when I walk by some of them, they say the word again. So the thing is, I would never think in a place where the United States Navy, Army, and the military is prevalent that I would experience such things, unless that which is unnaturalized, that's the United States Navy and Army and the police, are somehow connected and are part of it. So that would not be anything new, because history has shown that those that are unnaturalized, and now that is being brought forth of being among lab experiments, lab freaks, and whatever else that they might have threw together, why would they not be a part of harassing someone who they trying to breed with, or possibly breed their son with something that some of the African American accents keep saying, she love your son. She love him. I love your son. And so you have the pale skin here saying Mason and 3, as though that is a signal, and that which is black, predominantly it has been the pale skin, and that which speaks Spanish saying Mason and 3. Okay? I never thought I would have to experience such things. So I'm glad to speak of such things now. Also, I'm going to bring forth, and when I would start to document about the United States Navy, Army, and other military branches, and how they behave odd, I noticed that looked to be Mongoloid, that probably are Muslim, would be driving around more closely. So why would that be? I mean, after one time I document, I see someone that looks to be Muslim, possibly in a cow drive. It's like, whatever. And, I document about the military, that males or whatever acting out, whatever situation. It's like, whatever, it happens. But after a sequence of events of that look to be from the Middle East, behaving odd or driving around me, as though trying to demonstrate some type of, I don't know. So you can speak through body language, right? So if you're trying to communicate to someone in a threatening manner, it's like, we're going to possibly maybe maybe we're going to try to connect that more with extremists that practice Islam, because that more is not allowing her and her son to lie down with lab freaks in Annapolis. So now I want to get at, imagine lab freaks in Annapolis being sent out to other places, other states. Then this is not the only state, other places, making many people sick, just like the slaves were sent out, according to those that have studied slavery, to other land masses, sent out, not land masses, but states, to work. But instead of what they consider work, they send them out to cause sickness, to engage, to mentally abuse, to spread viruses and other forms. So Maryland was known to do this, according to those that have the history of slavery, with what they called the bucks, that was the offspring of and the other females that were offspring of the male and son, the male and female, male and daughter, mother and son having sex, and the mother getting pregnant and the daughter getting pregnant. But if a state has a history in doing such things, and in a time where it's coming out about lab freaks, what would stop them from doing it now? So Maryland is known to be one of the wealthiest states on this landmass, according to some resources. And here is where I connect the dots of robots and AI that can take money in and out of your account. Now, I found this interesting because Imani, the state of Maryland, said that Imani owed taxes. And it's odd because today I was hearing people at Burger King saying taxes. They were speaking about taxes. I actually heard this before, saying we got her taxes. Okay, so according to the IRS, Imani, who doesn't have any debt, Imani and I, we never had a credit card. Imani doesn't have any debt, never had a credit card. The IRS said Imani owed over, so they took over $2,000. They kept all of his federal tax except for $6, that number 6. They kept all of his federal taxes past year except for $6. Then the Maryland state kept all of the $800, if I remember correctly, or I think he was supposed to get, I think, like, maybe I'm wrong, could be like $300 back, but they kept it all. And then when he called, Maryland State said that Imani Bey still owes over $500. So lately I've been hearing those that are close by speak of her taxes. Why would you say her taxes when you walk by someone, or in an energy as though you have some authority to do something with someone's taxes? Especially the taxes are connected to the IRS. So if you can manipulate tax forms, because Imani and I was like, what did he do wrong for them to keep over $2,000 of his tax refund? I mean, we've been found with the same company, which is what is it called? For years. We haven't changed. I forgot the name of it. It's the one that you can do on your own. They used to not charge. What is it called? So you can do it on your own. We've been doing it for years, and we never had an issue. There was never a situation where they said you owe money. But for whatever reason, this time, Maryland and the IRS, the federal, said Imani owed over $2,000 pretty much. And lately, I've been hearing those in Maryland, in Annapolis, speak about her taxes, or we got her taxes. So, and I found that odd, because even today I heard someone speak about taxes, and it triggered a thought about taxes. So I'm going to make sure I post this, because I want to see what happened to the taxes. So when you're dealing with lab freaks, experiments, okay, and they have been in control and controlling financial, maybe food stamps, human resources, they try, and not only that, by allowing them to control human resources and other financial groups, or I'll use the word institutions or whatever. That was a thought. Then you are deliberately placing something that probably has no respect for humanity, who is a threat to humanity, in a position to enslave and place many in bondage, especially if they have shown that they will abuse their power when they feel like it. Any means necessary. So let me think. Say anything else I wanted to say. So today, once again, getting back to the food, I just tweeted this today, and I just thought it was odd. I was like, why? But later on, I asked Elena first. Elena's another person that I think is from Mexico at Burger King. I said, are y'all eating? And she said, no, they're not eating any food. So I was like, this is odd. Why is Hamima keep coming at me, asking me, do I want something to eat? I said, Hamima, why do you think I don't eat? I eat, you know? And then later, I was told they were eating. And I said, okay, that makes sense. Now, if they're eating and they were trying to be generous and offer food, that's great. But I already told Hamima I didn't want anything. Wait a minute, I didn't mean to walk. One moment. Thank you. I'm at the crosswalk, and I didn't mean to walk. But I think it's important for me to have done this video, because it's amazing to think about many years that have passed, and so many have made so much blood money. So many have pretended to be the victims, but they were the true predators. So many have truly partake in sacrificing and feeding off citizens who didn't know, had no idea, energy. Feeding off our energy, feeding off our thoughts, feeding off our ignorance, and getting paid so much money. So much money. I can't tell you how many times I've heard those, since I've been in Annapolis, try to act like, or say words like in a sorrowful manner, like something is wrong, like they made us do it. I heard just different words that you would think that they were a victim. And I'm not saying they're not. Anybody could be victimized, right? But what I'm trying to tell you is, a lot of times, too many times, it's acting. It's acting. Too many times, especially with those that are under the status of African American, Black, Negro. There in Annapolis, you have Africans here from Senegal. In fact, yesterday, while I was at Whole Foods, one of the African workers from the country, when I say the country of Senegal, from Tanzania, I thought she was from somewhere else. She was, I said Jumbo, because I just one day, maybe a month ago, I just felt, I've been seeing her for years, but I just asked her where she was from. She said, a month and a half ago, she said, I'm from Tanzania. So in Africa, in Annapolis, you have immigrants from the country of Senegal, immigrants from Ethiopia. You have immigrants from Nigeria. You have immigrants from Tanzania. You have, but I would say they engage the least out of all of them. Maybe because they watch and they don't have their green card, Islam, and they have more to lose. But the ones that engage the most would be those that are African American, Black, Negro, in an odd manner, especially when Black females walk past me saying he F-U-C-K-U. And those that are Spanish speaking from South Central America and Mexico that look to be, and then the pale skin. And definitely a lot of them seem to be connected or have some form of connection with the United States Navy, the Army, the military, the Navy, Army, military, or some form of the police.